All righty, you are looking live at Sold Out MetLife Stadium, where today the 16-0 and playoff bound New York Giants are taking on the 0-16 Philadelphia Eagles. And why are the Philadelphia Eagles 0-16? Because they suck. They lost the Super Bowl because they suck. The Philadelphia Eagles have always sucked, and the Philadelphia Eagles will continue to always suck. The Philadelphia Eagles suck. And welcome to the Gridiron. Just rolls right off the tongue there. Philadelphia Eagles suck. And welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody out there at all going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening? Thank you. Or anybody's going to spend any time watching the replay of this. Once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. I'm going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight, shoot my mouth off for about 30 minutes. Anybody got anything to say, please feel free, fire away, throw in the chat box. I try to check on the chat box like every 5 or 10 minutes or so. So if I see something in there, I try to respond to as fast as I can. So please feel free, fire away. Plus, instead of me just like rambling on for half an hour, 40 minutes or whatever, it's nice to talk to another Giant fan. So as I said, please feel free, fire away. Before I get started, if anybody wants to help support my channel, it would mean the absolute world to me. In the description box below, there's a top link. It takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. First one's called the Saquon. Second one's called the Lawrence Taylor, and the third membership level is called the Gridiron. Each one has their own little perks to them. So if you want to help support my channel, I thank you in advance. Thank you. If you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. I can use all the support I can get, guys. But if not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. That way, next time I go live or put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose? There's no fee or nothing like that. But if you are subscribed, thank you. Oh, here comes Randy. Usually he waits for me to start talking, but usually he must have been sleeping over there. Usually he gets over here a little earlier than this. And then finally, in the description box below, there's 2 Facebook links. All right. The top one takes you to my Facebook. It's a group called the New York Giants Gridiron, but it's a group. What do we got in there? We have, whoa, baby. We just hit 3,600 members. Pretty cool. We were holding tight at 3,500 for about a week or so. We're going up about 100 members a week. I think it was a couple weeks ago as I was probably around like 3,400. So probably sometime, hopefully next week, we'll get up to 3,700 members. It's slowed down a little bit, the membership intake, since the season's over with. But I'm sure once the season starts ramping up, wow. 6, maybe 7 weeks, I guess, training camps here. Are you serious? 7 weeks? And then 2 weeks after that, preseason? Holy cow. And we're back at it again, guys. Unbelievable. Gotta love it. But, basically this is, in the group, it's 7 days a week. Usually once I get done going live here, I'll spend probably like close to the next 2 hours just putting stuff in the group and in the page, which I'll go over in a minute. And not only do I put stuff in the group, but the members post stuff as well in the group here. But, I try to get, if I can, like up to around 10 things a day in here. If I can. Sometimes it's a little tough in the off season. During the regular season, usually there's a ton of stuff. Sometimes it's hard to keep up with all the stuff that you can put in there. But whether I'm putting in like a post, a picture, something just showing some stats of a player, a video, something making fun of the Eagles or Cowboys, which are my personal favorites. I try to get as much stuff in there as I can every day. Then the second Facebook link takes you to my page. All right. Basically, I say this in every video. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron, but it's a page. I'm the administrator. I'm the only one to post anything in here. However, what I say all the time is my YouTube channel, my Facebook group, Facebook page is pretty much called all the same thing. I said that way a moron like me, I can remember. It's not like what's my YouTube channel because my Facebook group called the same thing as my pages. It's all called the same thing. I said that way I can remember. All right, it's easier on my brain. What do we at here? 1,500 likes and 5,400 followers. I think we were at 5,300 followers yesterday. So we just went up, took that next step. The page is really doing good. It's really, really doing good. I have more followers in the page than I do members in the group. And I started the group like a few months before I started this page. The page is really doing good. But I say it's the same thing. Once I get done going live, I'll probably spend like close to the next 2 hours just putting stuff in here. And it's like 7 days a week. It's not quite 365 because, I'm on vacation here and there and stuff like that. So I might miss some time here. But for the most part, it's 7 days a week. Stuff's going in here all the time. And I don't commingle them, right? So basically, for the most part, whatever I put in the page, and I'll put in the group. Whatever I put in the group, and I'll put in the page. So it's pretty much separate. I said, every now and then, as I said, I exist on this planet to make fun of the Philadelphia Eagles. I've come to that agreement with myself. So if I see something that really makes fun of the Eagles, I just got to share it with everybody, right? So I might put that in the group and in the page, but other than that, I just try to keep stuff separate. But I said, if you go to the page and you like it and you follow it, and you go to the group and you become a member, you get a ton of New York Giants information every day, 7 days a week. And like I say in every video too, all right, if you go to the page and you like it and you follow it and you go to the group and you become a member, if you're not 100% satisfied, you get your money back guaranteed. All right, with all that stuff said and done, out of the way, I saw a couple, because there's no OTAs. The OTAs will be Thursday and Friday with, members of the media will be able to cover it Thursday. So we'll have, we should have quite a bit of, we should have, relatively decent amount of information coming out tomorrow. And then, of course, then Friday, then they'll have, let's see, what do we got? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I guess it's next, if I'm thinking correctly, which is not easy for me to do. Maybe next Tuesday to Thursday is the mini camp, June 13th to 15th. So Tuesday to Thursday being a mini camp, and I think, and then they fly away. They're gone for 6 weeks. Let's hope like people like maybe Xavier McKinney don't go to Cavo or whatever and go on an all-terrain vehicle or whatever and break his hand again or something like that. Let's hope everybody. Let's get down on it when we hit our knees tonight. Let's say a little prayer to the football gods that everybody stays nice and healthy. But I mean, also, knock on wood, we've had the 8 OTAs. I mean, as far as I know, the only one I'm thinking of, I mean, I could miss somebody, or maybe there wasn't total coverage on it or whatever, but I mean, I'm just thinking David Sills is the only one I can think of who went up to try to come down with a catch, came down, and maybe, he was walking off maybe a little bruised or something, maybe hurt himself, maybe knocked the wind out of him, maybe came down, maybe bruised his side or something or whatever. Obviously, there's no film footage on it, but that's about the only thing that I can really think of during the OTAs, and that was early. That was like OTA 2 or 3 or somewhere around there. But I mean, as far as anybody getting really injured at all or anything. So, and of course, then we have guys on the side training with the trainers and all that coming back. Some of the stuff you don't know. Some of the guys seem like they had off season, like some procedures, which you just don't know about, may not know about. But I mean, everybody's so far coming back, doing well, and haven't had any injuries reported. So thank goodness for that. I saw this article. It was actually there's two articles. Both of them they're talking about 4 guys. One article is from Fansided. 4 Giants who were definitely in their last season with the team. Now, I don't know about that, but the one was about, first one is says it has. I'm kind of anxious to see. I don't know who the Giants are going to get to replace, but they have Tyrod Taylor here. As I said, I'm not exactly sure. But I guess their number one guy is Matt Parrott. Now, you got Matt Parrott, he's interesting to kind of say the least, because, after where he was at, you would figure that maybe he would catch on. You got the number 4 guy, who is definitely. Now, of course, he didn't come with the team. This is his 4th season. All right. His rookie season wasn't too bad. I mean, it says a former 3rd-round pick of the Giants in 2020 NFL draft once had a hopeful future with the franchise and had opportunities to make an impression on the team. Yeah, you were kind of hoping that somewhere along the lines he would maybe wind up being the, if not the starting tackle, maybe the swing tackle, but that hasn't worked out. It says Matt Parrott got to play 11 games in his rookie season and started 1. Then he got to play in 15 games in 2021 and started in 5 of them. Unfortunately for Parrott, he struggled, especially when he was asked to step in for Andrew Thomas over at left tackle when Andrew was dealing with injuries. Pat then suffered a season-ending torn ACL injury at the end of 2021, an injury that carried him over into 2022 when he began the season on the PUP list. Parrott, at this point, is a depth player on the offensive line, and given the 2 main tackle positions are currently occupied by, obviously Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal. Said Parrott turns 26 before the start of the season. Might be best to pursue other opportunities in the league once this season ends, and that is if he is still on the 53-man, which is true. I mean, I don't know how many tackles they're going to keep on the 53. Let's see here. If I can pass. Is that him? Okay. Now, where are we at here? Obviously he did very good at UConn, especially his senior season. I mean, according to Pro Football Focus. I'm not going to say I sat there for 13 weeks and watched every one of his snaps, and I'm not going to say that. I just go by Pro Football Focus. They graded him out. He graded out at a 90. I mean, that's pretty darn impressive. I mean, maybe he obviously wasn't going up against the greatest of talent. His senior season at Connecticut, with the likes of Maine, USF, UCF, Eastern Carolina, Temple, Boston College, Tulane. So that's some absolute juggernauts. Okay, but he did very, very well for himself. Now, let's say in the NFL, I mean, it was promising, but things just never materialized. I mean, his rookie season, he got in there for 150 snaps, graded out of 69.7 overall. He was in there for 66 run blocking snaps, 84 pass blocking snaps. His run blocking was an 81.7. His pass blocking leads a little bit denied. As his rookie season's pass blocking was a 46.9. This past season, right, he was in there for 5 games. He only was in there for 117 snaps. He played. His big game was against Detroit. He played 62 snaps against Detroit. He was also in there for 32 snaps in the final game of the season, regular season, against the Eagles. But both the games, he was in there for 2 games, week 14, week 18 against the Eagles. He struggled mightily in pass protection. So, obviously, once again, he graded out at a 49.2 overall for the whole season. He was in for 117 snaps for the whole season. So, didn't grade out super spectacular. Once again, he came with the team. He wasn't picked, this regime did not bring him in. They did bring in some other guys. And the other thing was with Parrott is that basically he's just a tackle. I got 342,000. Here we go. Okay. Where's Devery Hamilton? Devery Hamilton. Okay. Now he played with Duke and Stanford. Right. But in his time with Stanford, he played left tackle and right tackle in 2017. 2018 with Stanford, he played left guard, left tackle, right guard in one season. So he played both guard positions and left tackle. 2019, he played left guard. And in his final season at Duke, he was all right tackle when he started. And he graded out decently, 73.4. I mean, he going up against some decent opponents, Notre Dame, Boston College, Georgia Tech, Miami, Florida, Florida State, North Carolina, NC State, Syracuse. So he got some decent competition. But, he has some versatility there to him. He's 6'6", 311 pounds. You can either you can certainly see him outside, but he's he's 6'6" inside for a guard. He has some flexibility to him. Let's see here. Corey Cunningham. Now, yeah, this guy just not seem to go away. Now he's got some age to him, right? I mean, he's certainly not over the hill or nothing, but he's 28. All right, 6'6", 305 pounds. Let's see here. 2014 or 2015 or 2014, he was a left tackle in college. 2015, he was a left tackle. 2016. He was a right tackle. And then 2017, he was a left tackle. Okay, so he doesn't have much flexibility to him. Let's see. There was one other guy who also has some flexibility. Tyree Phillips. I got to pull him up here. Tyree Phillips. Now I know he had some flexibility to him, especially in college. Now he obviously came over from the Ravens. All right, let's see. He played, 2 seasons. Let's see. Well, they got grades from 2 seasons. All right, he was a left tackle in 2019, 2018. He was a left tackle. Okay, 2017. No, they don't have any snaps for him at all there. No, okay, no snaps. Let's see in the NFL. Wait, 2020. Let's see. See, he played tackle predominantly in college, but in the pros, he's played right. In 2020, he played right tackle and right guard. 2021, Tyree Phillips played left guard, right tackle. And then last season, how much did he play? I got in there, all right. Well, he played left tackle against the Eagles. He played right guard against the Colts. He played right tackle against the Eagles and the Commanders and the Cowboys. In the first game that he got in, he saw against his old team. He played left tackle against the Ravens. So last year he played right guard, right tackle, and left tackle. Flexibility. So, obviously one of the huge things is that if you're only going to have, say, 8 guys, 8 offensive linemen, bring them to a game. I mean, it's, those numbers are, it's not like, well, we could have anywhere from 8 to 11. No. They look at a number. It's 8. Probably 8. You don't want, if something were to happen to Evan Neal or Andrew Thomas, let us hope not. But you don't want to say, okay, well, we got this one guy who's just a tackle. No, you want somebody who can play tackle, guard. You want somebody else who's got guard, center. Flexibility is huge. I mean, it's kind of tough just to have Matt Parrott on there and just, okay, well, if one of the tackles go down, or if we want the jumbo package, or obviously you put Matt Parrott maybe on special teams or, extra points or something like that. But, those 8 guys, those extra 3 guys, you want some flexibility there. And Matt Parrott, between his injuries, there's sometimes, unfortunately, there's just stuff that's just stacked up against you, and unfortunately, between the injuries, he wasn't drafted by the regime and all of that. It might quite possibly be Matt Parrott's, it was a shame because when he came in, you brought in 2 tackles, you're kind of hoping all right, maybe we got Parrott and we got Andrew Thomas. All right, we might be good to go for a while. Bring 2 guys in, 2 young, studs, and doesn't always work out like that. I mean, it was to some extent, Actually, neither one really worked out. 2015, we drafted Eric Flowers in the first round, but I guess it was round 7. I think it was. We drafted Bobby Hart out of Florida State. We needed offensive line help, as we had for the past 342 years. So when we drafted Eric Flowers, like number 9, it's like, this guy's got to be a stud. Oh my God, we drafted a number 9. There we go. We got ourselves our Hall of Fame left tackle for the next 300 years. No, not quite. But then you drafted Bobby Hart as well, too. So maybe this guy can stick around. And, actually, Bobby Hart didn't do too bad. I mean, he not an all-pro Hall of Famer, not like that. But, he stuck it out. He's there with the Bengals, too, right? But, sometimes, unfortunately, things just don't work out. So, I mean, it could be Matt Peretz. He could be gone. The next guy that they got on here that could quite possibly be their last season. Kind of hard to maybe argue with this. They have is Darnay Holmes, right? I mean, especially with wind up being his cap hit, being what it is. They keep trying to they keep bringing guys in, right? Guys in the secondary. Like this year, what did we do? We brought in 3 guys from the secondary, right? Last year, we brought in Flott, right? Let's see here. Let's check out. Once again, there we go. All right, I said so. This year, we brought in Hawkins. We brought in Owens. We got Banks. Let's see here. Last year we brought in Flott. They brought Jamon Green in. They brought in Amani Oruwariye. Not sure if he's going to wind up sticking. Aaron Robinson didn't. He came with the team, but they brought in Trey Hawkins. Darius Williams came with the team. Now they signed Leonard Johnson. Don't forget about him as well too. Not sure, but Darnay Holmes is in the slot, so I'm not sure of any these guys, but. They brought Nick McLeod. They got Zion Gilbert. So, I mean, there's a good chance that this could quite possibly be, Darnay Holmes' last season, if he even makes it to the final 53, because, if they wind up cutting him, winds up having they wind up saving some decent amount. He's like a $2.75 million cap hit he has. So they would wind up saving themselves some money toward the cap if they were to let him go. Then the next guy that they got here, and they say definitely in their last season with the team. I mean, I'd have to agree with this. It's probably Mark Glowinski, especially because next season, it says right here, he will have a $7.2 million cap hit for 2024. The Giants will only have $1.5 million in dead cap if they release Glowinski. Now, as I said, between Bredesen, who has done a decent job, not a Hall of Famer, not an All-Pro, not a Pro Bowl. He's done a decent job. He's kind of young. He's on the cheap. You drafted McKeithen. Let's hope the guy can stay healthy. Let's see what he can do. I'm going to add a name to this list. If we're talking Glowinski, we're probably talking maybe Shane Lemieux too. Quite possibly his last season, if he makes the final 53 either. Glowinski will. I mean, that's almost a lock. Lemieux may not. But, he said, Glowinski, because, he's signed, he's got a contract, a lot of dead money this season, he'll be the right guard. They could, start bringing, sometimes maybe start bringing some guys in, maybe, having Glowinski have a little Kool-Aid on the sideline and we bring McKeithen in for a series or something to see what he can do. But, I mean, there's a good chance Glowinski's last season. I mean, they have visions, I'm sure, of seeing Ezeudu being a starter, whether it's on the left guard or the right guard or whatever. You don't draft a guard in the 3rd round just to have him sit on the sideline and drink Kool-Aid, and hopefully somebody gets injured so then he can go in there. That's not happening. So, like I said, with Bredesen. And of course, we have other guys, but I said, we want to see what McKeithen can do as well, too. But I can certainly see without question this being Glowinski's final season, as I said, especially if they can let him go and only have $1.5 million in dead cap money. he's done decent. He's healthy all last year. Got to give the man credit there. He did decent in the run, but sometimes he get a little overpowered in the pass blocking. And then the final one here now, this one's a little bit of a head scratcher. As I said, 4 guys I can see definitely in their final last season with the Giants. And for me, I can throw a couple other names out there. Probably Gary Brightwell, right? Bring in Breida. They brought in Jashawn Corbin, put him on the practice squad, got him in there for a reason. I kept him around for a reason. You don't draft Gray. Saquon Barkley he's playing this year, and Brightwell came with the team, so there's a good chance that's even. We're going to keep 3 runners. Probably have one on the practice squad. Barkley and Gray. Boom, they're on the 53. Pretty much guaranteed. Good chance Breida is on the 53. Now you're going to have Corbin and Brightwell. Brightwell has some special teams. Haven't seen much of anything from Corbin, but there's a chance Brightwell, this could be his final season. Carter Coughlin, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he even makes the final 53. I hate saying it, but I'm not trying to go over the whole roster here and take 5 hours trying to go over it. But Cam Brown possibly too. He's good on special teams, but it also helps if you have some type of a niche, maybe in the on the defensive side, and that hasn't happened. But we'll have to wait and see. But I can definitely see Carter Coughlin. This is his last season. But they have here in this article here, okay, they have Tyrod Taylor. Definitely his last season with the Giants. Okay. Who's the other quarterbacks going to be? DeVito? Yeah. He's the backup quarterback for the future. Yeah, that's yeah. There's always a ton of quarterbacks out there. You can certainly bring in another quarterback with some experience. Absolutely. Unless Tyrod Taylor plans on retiring, I don't know. I don't think he's that old yet. I don't know if he has visions upon retiring after this season or not. But if you can bring him back for another few million, he does have some dead cap money for next season. So, but if you can bring him back for a few $1 million, he's an excellent backup. Excellent backup, and backups are worth their price in gold if you need them. Hopefully you don't. Hopefully your starting quarterback stays healthy through the whole season and all this stuff and everything. But if something goes wrong, look at Nick Foles, what he's done. You got some examples there of some good quality backup quarterbacks that have really helped save some teams' seasons. And Tyrod Taylor could be one of those quarterbacks. So to say he's definitely on his last season with the Giants, I don't know. They got a video here when he threw his one interception, was way down the field. He also got injured too. And then they put Daniel Jones back in the game when he was kind of dinged up. So that is the one problem who has, Tyrod does have injury history on his side. So, but as far as a good, intelligent, he's usually pretty good with the ball, but experienced, intelligent, great teammate, great locker room guy, all that stuff. Backup quarterback you can get for $5 or $6 million. I don't know. I think he's worth maybe bringing back another season. But it is what we'll have to want to wait and see. But as I said, along with those guys, there's a couple guys and I can definitely see being their last season, especially guys, unfortunately, who just came with the team, who didn't wind up, being brought in by Shane or Dable. Right. Let's see. Then there's 4 guys here who could see increased roles in 2023. This is from Giants Country Fan Nation. Looks like these players don't get a lot of mention, but they could, with strong training camp performances, end up becoming key contributors for the Giants in 2023. Now, I don't kind of understand this. One of them, this first one here, absolutely, without question, And I hope to goodness they just keep him on the outside. Ryder Anderson. Now, if we look last year, I mean, he played, he did, but, he was told to do, right? What's up, Terrence? Holmes always looks good in season starts. Yep, lots of competition. Yeah, he led the team last year. I think 9 or 10 penalties. And, he looked good too. And I think I mentioned this before. It was like last year won a training camp. Training camp or OTAs. He had like 3 days in a row. We had like interceptions, and like, oh, here we go, baby. So I mean, it's like nothing again, but I mean, it's also sometimes it's it's nothing personal. Sometimes it's about the money. I mean, I said, but we got a lot of guys in there. I said it would wind up saving the Giants, a couple $1 million toward the cap. So I mean, they'll have to wait and see. But I mean, nobody's losing or saving their season or losing their season in OTAs. That'll be, that's when July rolls around. That's when the starts hitting the fan. But it says 4 guys who could see increased playing time. Now I could see this. Now, Ryder Anderson. Now, is it last year when they put him in a tackle? I'm going to tell you. He had some struggles. In college, he was basically, he played on the end. He looked like left defensive end and right defensive end. Last year in the NFL, they put him all, they put him all up and down the line. All up and down the line. Had him at right end, left end, defensive left tackle, defensive right tackle. And guess what? When he played defensive left, he's 6'6", 276 pounds. Ideal, for an edge, 6'6", that length and all. Ooh, that's nice. That's 276. That's pretty sharp. But he struggled mightily when he was inside at the right tackle or left tackle. He did very well and even got a sack. Against the Eagles. He had a sack against Jalen Hurts week 14. Now, when he in limited roles, right, when he played on the end, in week 14 against the Eagles, right, he played right end. He started. He was in there for 37 snaps. He graded out of 67.7. He had a sack. He had a tackle, nothing super crazy, but he graded out of 67.7. Against that the Philly team, that phenomenal offensive line. Against Jacksonville, week 7, he played left end. He was just in there, for 6 snaps, but he graded out of 71.6. Week 6 against the Ravens, he played right end. He was just in there for 5 snaps, but he graded out of 70.4. And just limited role, I get it. But then toward the end of the season, he was basically on the inside at right tackle and left tackle. Against the Washington Commanders, week 15, he graded out of 40 in 12 snaps. Week 16 against Minnesota, in 20 snaps, he graded out of 43. Against the Colts, in 20 snaps, week 17, graded out of 30.3. Defensive right tackle. Against the Eagles, week 18. Remember, we had the second, third stringers in there. In 52 snaps, basically, I guess he played almost the whole game, or maybe almost the whole game. He graded out of 43. Wild card game against Minnesota, he was in there for 15 snaps. At defensive left tackle, he graded out of 43.2. And against the Philly in divisional playoffs, at defensive right tackle, he played 49.7. He played 26 snaps. So, if you can keep him on the outside, because we could use some depth on the outside. Now, the thing is, if you got Jordan Riley, now obviously the same thing here. You have Leonard Williams, right? Sexy Dexy, Nunez, Roches, or Nacho, Ashawn Robinson. You got DJ Davidson hopefully coming back. I'm not exactly sure if he'll be ready or not, but then you got also Jordan Riley, right? So you have. So, and I know there's somebody else. I always forget. Let's see here. Oh, Vernon Butler. And Vernon Butler. So you have like the 6 guys right there. But I mean, so you got a bunch of guys, who can play on the inside. Let's keep Ryder Anderson on the outside. Right. I mean, because we have a bunch of guys, we got a bunch of guys everywhere. We got a bunch of guys on the outside, but let's see if one of these guys can step up. And I think Ryder, I would really love to see Ryder Anderson, get some extra snaps on the outside. Let's see, Dan. I don't understand this one at all. 4 Giants who could see increased roles in 2023. They have Daniel Bellinger. I'm not exactly sure how much more he's supposed to get. I don't know. I mean, didn't he play a lot last year? I don't quite get it. The only thing I'm thinking of is maybe he might get, if he doesn't get his eye socket broken and he plays more games, maybe he'll get more. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if they only have the one tight end in there, guess who that one tight end is going to be? Huh? Right? Mr. Waller. So, I mean, I don't know where, I don't understand this one. Oh, yeah. Oh, it says some might question why a recent draft pick is listed among the sleepers. Still, in this case, it's because so much attention at the tight end spot will be drawn by Darren Waller. But I mean, that's if they have 2 tight ends in there. I mean, you might have Saquon, and you might have Waller, and you might have three wide receivers. Well, where's the other tight end at? On the sideline. So, let's not forget about all the wide receivers we got. So, I mean, I don't know how many times we're going to have Bellinger and Waller, Saquon, and then just 2 wide receivers. Don't know that. But, one thing, when Daniel Bellinger's out there, he's not the main tight end. He's not the main focus. So, I mean, he could get, increased, maybe get it's tough to say because when you got somebody throwing the ball at the Waller, the wide receivers and all, love to see him get a lot more receptions, because when balls are getting thrown to the tight ends, a lot of them are going to get thrown to Waller. But he might get more, open from time to time, maybe a little bit more because, if you got Saquon, defense worrying about him, the defense worrying about Waller, then you have Hyatt over there could take the top off the defense. That might, allow Bellinger some room underneath. But I don't quite understand that one. Let's see, who else they got here? They got 2 other guys. Tyree Phillips. That's quite possible because they need a swing tackle. And I just went over Tyree Phillips, with his being able to play left guard. He played last season. He played right guard. He played left tackle. He played right tackle. So, flexibility there. They need a swing tackle. All right. Let's see. He's 26 years old. He's got the beautiful height, 6'5", 330. I wouldn't be surprised if he wound up, being possibly the 3rd overall tackle because they're going to need a tackle. But I mean, just don't want to tackle somebody who could play tackle and guard if need be. Let's see here. The Giants need a swing tackle behind Neal and Thomas, which will be one of the underrated summer camp competitions. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. While each of the projected candidates has his warts, one guy whose experience at the tackle position give him an edge is Tyree Phillips, whom the Giants acquired off waivers from the Ravens. Now, once again, he was brought in by this regime. Matt Parrott came to the team, right? Phillips held the fort for the Giants at right tackle after Neal suffered his knee injury in Week 7. He held his own for the most part as the Giants' offense was based primarily on the running and short passing game. Phillips seemed to thrive when asked to run block, exuding power and good play strength to move his man out of the way. His pass blocking on deeper attempts is still a work in progress, but who knows? Perhaps with a solid offseason in summer, he will improve just enough to where if an injury does hit the starters, Phillips might be the guy. So that's quite possible. But, I mean, they're talking about, once again, with Phillips, who could see increased roles now. I mean, increased roles, once again, in this article here, Tyree Phillips seeing an increased role. Maybe if somebody gets injured. I mean, do you want Tyree Phillips to see an increased role if Evan Neal and Andrew Thomas are okay? I don't know. And then they have and this one here too. I don't know. this is 4 Giants you can see increased. What was it again? Increased roles in 2023. They have Micah McFadden. I mean, they brought in Bobby Okereke. They're not going to have, I mean, if you have, let's see, what have they got? They got 4 guys across the front, at least 4 guys across the front. Sometimes they might even have 5. I mean, if they have 3, the 3 heavy guys and 2 edge rushers, maybe they drop Kayvon in coverage or something like that. But, so if they have just have 4, at least 7 guys, right? Now, if they're going to wind up having 1 middle linebacker, or maybe even 2 middle linebackers, Barry Okereke is going to be in there a lot. So I don't know how much more Micah McFadden is going to wind up seeing. They brought Davis back. We got Darian Beavers, who's really looking decent last season. So, I mean, McFadden was in there. He was the only one that pretty much stayed healthy the whole year, pretty much out of all the rookies. But, I mean, he played a lot, but he struggled a lot in the run. And a lot of it was, we had Tay Crowder, Jalen Smith, Micah McFadden, Davis. We brought him in, but he came in toward the end of the season. It was kind of like bring him in and throw him in there. Here you go, Davis. Good luck, right? But I mean, I'm dying to see what Darian Beavers is kind of doing. And a lot of times, I don't know how many middle linebackers we're going to have, because sometimes we have 3 cornerbacks. Sometimes you might have 3 safeties. You got 3 cornerbacks and 3 safeties. That's 6 guys. You got 2 edge rushers, just say. You got 2 defensive tackles. That's 10 guys. My math is correct. You have 1 guy left. How many inside middle linebackers are you going to have on the field at any given time? Now, you might have 2, maybe first down and second down, maybe the running downs. But, I mean, which bodes well for Micah McFadden, because he's an inside the box kind of downhill, shoot the gap kind of guy and all, But as I said, let's not forget about Beavers. I mean, Beavers wasn't looking. I mean, I'm not saying Beavers is Hall of Famer, All Pro, this, that. I mean, but he was doing decently last year, and it's anxious to see what he has. Hopefully, he comes back healthy and everything. So I don't know how much more of a role Micah McFadden's going to wind up getting in the this season coming up. I'm not quite so sure about that one. I mean, some of the guys I could see who would get, I mean, you got Daniel Jones, the offensive, I'm saying maybe, but some of them increased roles would be like Azudu, but, he's coming back from injury. That's why he might have more, coming back from injury. Then you see Hodgins, but I mean, Hodgins, going to probably have a nice role, but than he did last year. But he came in like halfway through the season last year, so it wasn't like he played the whole season. I mean, Barkley's the running back, Daniel Jones is the quarterback. Slayton. I mean, Hyatt, but I mean, Hyatt wasn't here. So that article says increased roles from last year. So I mean, you can't say Hyatt's going to have an increased role because he wasn't here last year. Some of the guys, I mean, like Ryder Anderson, Aaron Robinson, if he can stay healthy, if they let Holmes go, maybe Cordell Flott, maybe Zion Gilbert, Nick McLeod, Jason Pinnock, right? I mean, if he winds up, because I don't know, Omar Oruwariye is going to wind up staying around. McCain, but he came this year, but I'm saying, but Pinnock might have an increased role over last year, quite possibly. So there's some other guys out there that might have increased roles, but some of those guys, I mean, Micah McFadden have an increased role. I'm not so sure about that. Daniel Bellinger having an increased role over last. I mean, he was in there a lot last year. I'm not quite so sure about that. Ryder Anderson, I do agree with. I do agree with him, and hopefully they keep him out of the inside. Bring the dude on the outside where he's got the height and the length. He's 275. You go up against some of those big. I mean, you put him in there in a guard latches onto him. The guard is like 30 pounds, 40 pounds heavy, and latches onto him. He's going to move him out of the way. Right. So he had a hard time inside. Get him outside where you can use that length, the height, the length. And he's not that, he's like 275. I mean, that's a beautiful size for an outside, an edge rusher or whatever. And as I said, according to Pro Football, he graded out very well out there. Let's see what he can do. I said, because we don't know if Ellison Smith could stay on the field, right? We don't know what we have with Baldonado. I mean, Toman Fox is okay, but, I'm not overly excited about him. Hottie. I mean, Hottie's going to be Hottie, and you're not getting a boatload of sacks from the guy. That's just not happening. We brought Oshane Ximines back, too. I mean, I wish the guy would just take off. I mean, that's fine, but fantastic. He had a great rookie season, but hasn't had much since then. I'm still a little ticked off that we let Lorenzo Carter go. I mean, but it is what it is. But I mean, I like to see Ryder Anderson. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that one. That would be really good, really, really good. A young guy. Let's get the dude on the field and see what he can do. Then finally, I saw this man. I'll tell you what, this was pretty interesting. I mean, I was like, I saw this, and it's like Richie James. I'm like, what? What are you? What? It says ex-Giant Richie James was the NFL's most reliable receiver in 2022. I'm like, what the? And it's yeah, he's number one. We're number one. I mean, if the Giants kept him, I mean, where the heck? I mean, who? I mean, not that I'm saying he's not the greatest receiver, all that, but I mean, if the Giants brought him back too, I mean, what the? I mean, holy cow, we'd still be needing a number one wide receiver, but it says, and this is Giants Wire from Giants Wire, okay. New York Giants were in the market for wide receivers this offseason and landed a few in free agency and a few more during it and after the draft. Yeah, I mean, Bryce Wheaton, let's hope if he doesn't make the team, right, let's hope we can get him on the practice squad. Even if we got to develop him for a year or so, I mean, hopefully with Kafka and Dable and all that, hopefully, because if he's got some God-given talent and all that, the speed and all of that, let's hope we don't give up on him. But it says, which leads many to ask, why did they allow Richie James to leave for Kansas City in free agency? And, he led the team in receptions. He was taught, well, actually, no, I'm bad. He did lead the team in receptions. And I'm going to go over a stat here, which is rather staggering. I mean, he was tied at the regular season with Saquon Barkley. They both had 57, but not in the postseason. In the postseason, he had 11 receptions. So he had 68 receptions. Okay. James was money in the bank for the Giants last season, setting career highs in receptions, 57 during the regular season. Receiving yards, 569. So basically, he had 10 yards a catch. He had 4 touchdowns while being Daniel Jones's most reliable receiver. In fact, James topped the list in next-gen stats, and I love these. I mean, they got 95% of these stats I got like so-and-so led the league in the VXY 2Y/7 category. I'm like, what is that? Of course, I had to look this up. So James led the next-gen stats top 10 pass catchers in the CROE for 2022. So, of course, CR is catch rate over expected. So I don't know, who sits down at night and thinks these up and all of that, but we got a lot of rates out there. Richie James, if it says if you need a first down, who you going to call? Richie James was number 1. George Pickens of the Steelers was number 2. Mike Williams of the Chargers was 3. Dallas Goedert of the Eagles was 4. And with Dallas Goedert, yeah, very, very reliable. But I mean, with him, they have the best offensive line, pass blocking with Jalen Hurts. Then they got DeVonta Smith and A.J. Brown out there running around, which takes a lot of attention off of Dallas Goedert. Cooper Kupp, the Cupmeister. Tyler Boyd of the Bengals. Tell you what, I mean, look at the Bengals. And Jamar Chase isn't even on this list. Number 6 was Tyler Boyd of the Bengals. T. Higgins was number 7 for the Bengals. And then, of course, DeVonta Smith was on there. Stephon Diggs was number 9. And Terry McLaurin of the Commanders was number 10. But Richie James was number 1 on catch rate over expected. James led the NFL in catch rate over expected at plus 11% last year. Catch rate over expected is calculated by subtracting the expected catch rate from the actual catch rate. once again, I don't know why some of these guys, they just sit, I don't know. Things were a lot easier back when I grew up. It's like, oh, yeah, he caught 48 balls. Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, now it's like, well, he caught 48, but he was expected to catch 57, so he kind of stinks. I'm like, what? He caught 48. No, he's supposed to catch 50. The expected was 57. He caught, I mean, really? James had a catch rate of 81.4%, which was 11 points over his expected catch rate of 70.4. I'm not sure how they figured that out, but they broke it down. Last season was the first in which James reached any of the benchmarks needed to qualify for this list, and it was only the second campaign in which he saw more than 14 targets. So why does James land here? His catch rate over expected was better than that of any other receiver who met the aforementioned criteria. Also, he helped quarterbacks targeting him post a 119.6 passer rating, the third best mark of any pass catcher on this list. Very impressive. And of his 70 targets during the regular season, only 13 resulted in incompletion. So he had 57 catches out of 70. That's a catch rate befitting a running back snagging swing passes, not a receiver running through a defense. I mean, you throw him 70 passes his way and you catch 57 of them. Very impressive. Very, very impressive. James is not a household name, but I mean, the dude's, I mean, he's with the Kansas City Chiefs. Tell me the guy's not going to benefit, all right? He's not going to benefit there. Well, and good for him. James is not a household name, but that's the beauty of the next gen stats. They help us see beyond the headlines. And with his performance in 2022, James earned a move to Kansas City, where he'll have a golden opportunity to boost his profile to even greater degree. Absolutely. Now, I saw this one stat. I mean, it was kind of like, they said that he had 57 receptions, but that's in the regular season. I mean, just to kind of go to show you, okay, what he meant, to whatever you want to call it, to the team, to the offense, or whatever. What's up, Terrence? He fumbled 2 times. Those on punt returns in Seattle. Yeah, they scored 10 points off of that. Yeah, on the punt returns. Yeah, and maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. I don't know. I mean, because they let him go. They brought in Paris Campbell, but speed. They brought in Jamison Crowder, though. They brought in Jeff Smith. To maybe special teams, But, I mean, Jeff Smith ain't going to catch as many balls as what Richie James did last year. But Richie James had 57 receptions in the regular season. He caught 11 passes in the postseason, 4 against the Vikings. But he caught if you go to the game against the Eagles, now just to kind of show you, I mean, sometimes you just don't want to be jumping around with your happy pants on and we're number one and all that. I mean, sometimes you want to keep things a little in perspective here. The Giants were down 1,252 to nothing about 8 minutes into the game. So what did they have to do? They had to pass the ball, right? You're not down by 3,000 points. Well, hey, let's establish the run. Let's get the run game going. And that'll open up the pass. No, you're throwing the ball, right? Obviously, you're not totally abandoning the run, but you got to throw the ball, right? You need touchdowns. You need points. So our 2 wide receivers, right? Actually, if you want to go the wide, the guys outside, right? If you want to go Colin Johnson, Hodgins, and Slayton, all right, each one had 1 catch. Now, if I remember correctly, I think between Hodgins and Slayton, they had 2 catches between the 2 of them for 7 yards, right? So so if you got Bradberry out there and Slay out there, they did a nice job of shutting them down. 2 catches for 7 yards. Well, that wasn't the case with Richie James. Now, obviously, Richie James is in the slot. He's not out wide. Probably most of the time he was in the slot. He had a nice game. So Richie James, once again, I got 412,000 tabs. Here we go. All right. So Richie James had almost as many receptions in the Eagle game, the playoff game, as 7 other receivers combined. If you add in Matt Breida, Saquon Barkley, Marcus Johnson, Lawrence Cager, Daniel Bellinger. Oh, Marcus Johnson. What? Not Colin. I said Colin Johnson. Marcus Johnson. My bad. Colin Johnson. Wasn't there. Marcus Johnson. I got the Johnsons, brother, mixed up. So, okay, try this again. Isaiah Hodgins, Darius Slayton, Daniel Bellinger, Lawrence Cager, Marcus Johnson, Matt Breida, and Saquon Barkley. 7 players. Those 7 players caught 8 passes. Richie James himself caught 7 balls. He caught 7 passes for 51 yards on 10 targets. So he caught basically 70% of his targets. Marcus Johnson caught 1 pass. Lawrence Cager caught 1 pass. Daniel Bellinger caught 1 out of 3 passes. Darius Slayton caught 1 out of 5 passes thrown his way. Isaiah Hodgins caught 1 out of 2. Between Slayton and Hodgins, 2 guys we're really excited about this year, this, that, and the other thing. They caught 2 passes out of 7 targets for 7 yards. 7 yards. When your guys outside catch 7 yards worth of passes in a playoff game, there's a good chance you're not going to win it. Matt Breida caught 1 pass for 19 yards, and Saquon caught 2 passes for 21 yards. So, Richie James he caught 11 passes in the 2 postseason games. So he very, very, very good. I mean, just one of those things. Sometimes, you just shake your head and just, maybe it was the fumbles. Maybe it's like, we think we can replace them, and we can replace the return game. Maybe we return with somebody who won't fumble the ball. It is what it is. I mean, sometimes you just kind of scratch your head. He had a nice season with us. Why did you let him go? He can be a receiver. He can return punts. It's kind of like Fabian Moreau. The guy's not a $35 million a year guy. You could probably kept him on the cheap. He did pretty good for you last year. He wasn't an all-pro, but for what you paid for him, he did pretty doggone good. You're bringing all these other guys in. Well, let him go. Unfortunately, sadly, things like that, happen all the time, and they're always going to happen. And sadly, things you're never going to know why. Why didn't you bring Richie Jackson? They'll give you the generic, answer. Well, we want blah 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 or something, but you'll never know. Why didn't you bring Fabian Moreau back? Just things like that. But Richie James, very, very impressive. Well, guys, it's been 57 minutes of me shooting my mouth off, almost 58 minutes. Holy cow. OTA number 9 tomorrow. And as I said, the writers and all and everything will be there. So we'll have a lot to talk about tomorrow. So that'll be good. So we'll have 2 more OTAs. Then we got mini camp, and then we're going to have about 6 weeks of looking for stuff to talk about. Terrence, as always, buddy, good talking to you, pal. Thank you. So whoever spent any time watching me at all, thank you. If anybody spends any time at all watching the replay of this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. Thank you. As always, you guys stay safe out there, and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.